is instead of due diligence and doing research prior to discussing with staff in advance, bringing the matter up with colleagues, this motion was crafted, brought forward, and then the facts were tried to, I think our colleague here is trying to jam the facts to fit the motion. And I think it's a bad way for us, I think it speaks to bad governance for us to try and move these things. If our colleague felt that this, or is genuine in her statement that this comes from a humble place, then I think that this is a good example of how you don't process an issue like this. I think it's a good case lesson on the opposite. I think that going forward, I would urge my colleague, if there are other motions that she feels passionate about, that there's a better way to process these. And sometimes things don't necessarily have to come to the board. Not every single thing needs to come to the board and a bit of grandstanding. So I think I would urge my colleague to give some thought on just on the process and how these things are brought forward and how they're dealt with. I think it's a really flawed way. And I think at minimum, it shows perhaps a lack of political experience, giving my colleague the benefit of the doubt. And at worst, I do think it's grandstanding. In terms of the actual, if you dissect this, I mean, by my calculation, we've spent about $300 of staff time, at least $300 of staff time to debate this motion. So that's about a third, almost a third of the motion monies that would be saved if, in theory, we pass this motion. So I think we do need to be cognizant of staff time. It is a very much a commissioner's. Now, I feel very fortunate that I am currently of economic means where the so-called PERT isn't a huge issue. But I never thought I would see the day where I might agree with Jamie Lee Hamilton on an issue. And I think that what I think is very important as citizens is that we want to see a diversity of people around this table that represent the citizens of Vancouver, and that's rich and poor, men and women, gay, straight, transgender, people of different color, ethnic backgrounds. And I think that as soon as we start going down this road, we go down a dangerous road of making this. We'll turn this back to the good old days of the old boys club, and I don't think we want to go back there. I really don't think we want to go back there.
What do you know about
when we break this down, and I guess the other thing on this, so it's not just about commissioners, but also staff. Now, our staff, who many are here at 7:30 in the morning working, are working right through. If we're going to say no more sandwiches, no more carrot sticks, no more broccoli, but go take some time, go get a bite to eat, and come back. That's still time that they're not doing people's business. That's still time that they are not at their desk doing the work. And that costs money. So I think that when you actually look at it from that perspective, instead of saving up to $100 per briefing, we're actually going to be spending upwards of $300 to $400 of staff time. And which again completely flies contrary to the so-called spirit of this motion. We actually then would have even less money for youth programs. We have even less money. And I think we do set a good example, Madam Chair. Park Board Commissioners, for what we get paid. Now, in doing my homework, the rate that we get paid, I think the last time it was raised to this level was 1992. So I think if we want to send a positive signal to the residents of Vancouver about being fiscally responsible, I think nothing speaks more clearly than the amount of hours we put in for the amount of compensation that we get. And again, so at best case scenario, an ill-conceived motion that needs to be processed better. Worst case scenario, cheap politics. And I think that really we need to focus on the big issue. We have reports that come to us earlier, such as the electric charging stations and some of the issues that we should be working on. And then nickel and diming and trying to wrap this in the, oh, we're doing it for the people. I just don't buy it. And I think it would end up costing us more money. The final point I want to raise, and this is what I think the rub for me here is, our staff informed the entire board that they actually are looking at initiatives so that we don't even have to have sit-down briefings, so that Commissioner Blank, who's racing home from the downtown east side to get to the west side, to get her son, to get home for dinner, can actually do the briefing from home.
That was her choice. That was her choice.
So I think that our staff have disclosed this to all of the commissioners, that they are exploring options. Commissioner Nova is well aware of this. So why not wait and see what staff come up with? Let's see what cost-effective ways that we can come up with that are respectful of the taxpayer, which do ensure that we're doing people's business in a respectful way. So again, I won't refuse supporting this, and I urge everyone around the table to say no to this.
Oh, come on, it's a public